Kick off your shoes. Increase your worldview. It's Math with Matthew.
On this episode of Math with Matthew, we welcome Chelmsford High School mathematics teachers Daniel Williams, Andrew Pasquale, and Catherine DeLamas. And now your host, the Mathematics Department Coordinator for Chelmsford Public Schools, Dr. Matthew Bayronovan.
X equals 3.
Welcome to our first episode of Math with Matthew. I'm Dr. Matthew Bayronovan, the K-12 Mathematics Department Coordinator for the Chelmsford Public Schools. On this first episode, we're going to focus on everything with the high school mathematics. On our future episodes, we'll focus on our middle school and our elementary mathematics. On this episode, we'll first examine technology in the mathematics classes with Mr. Daniel Williams. Our Teacher Spotlight segment will feature our AP Calculus teacher, Mr. Andrew Pasquale. And in our final segment, we'll focus on our computer programming courses in the mathematics department with Mrs. Catherine DeLamas. But let's first meet our department at the high school level. Here are our mathematics teachers. Welcome back. We are now joined by Mr. Daniel Williams, who is going to share with us some information about technology use within the mathematics department at Chelmsford High School. Daniel is a second-year teacher in the mathematics department and graduated from Framingham State University with a mathematics degree and is currently pursuing a master's degree in curriculum and instruction. He teaches geometry, algebra, and trigonometry. Welcome to the show, Daniel.
Oh, it's great to be here, Matthew.
As I mentioned in your introduction, you're beginning your second year within the mathematics department. Can you tell me a little bit about how you enjoy the department and Chelmsford High School?
Chelmsford as a whole is just great. Great place to work. Could not be happier. The staff is so helpful. We all work together to make it as good as we can. And the students here are just the kind of kids that I love to work with. Really smart, eager, and they're just great to be with.
In regards to those students, what are some ways that you connect with your students on a personal level?
I try to make my class more of an event that they want to come to. It's not just learning about the math, but something that they'll remember and enjoy coming to. I do certain things like lyric of the day. We start out the class with having to guess what kind of lyric from a song. Fact of the day, so like the bottom of a Snapple cap, what kind of fact. And sometimes I'll maybe wrap some math facts to them, do something to make it interesting, make them want to pay attention, want to be there.
Excellent. Well, you're one of many teachers in the department who's taken the lead on infusing technology into the mathematics lessons. Tell me, why is this important to you?
Well, students these days have grown up with technology. They've been using an iPod since they could walk, and just as part of their life. So being able to add that in as to support our curriculum that we're using right now just makes the possibilities almost endless of how we can reach them.
Well, within our department, we purchased a set of iPads. Can you tell me how these iPads are being used in your class and in other classes?
So again, this is something that we really can use to support our curriculum that we're already teaching. I teach a lot of geometry classes, and there's lots of figures that we use. Having these iPads, so not only can the kids see the figures up close, but really manipulate them, turn them, see how maybe angles change when a line is moved, or move a figure around, can make all the difference in the world to them not understanding it and truly understanding it.
So tell me about some of these apps on the iPad that you use and some of the other mathematics teachers use to support our curriculum.
So right now we have 3 main apps that we use. The first one is called Fuse. It's a digital textbook, so they can go through and sort of see everything that their textbook also would have, but we can have in our classroom. But on top of that, we can do problems on it. So I could maybe say, we're going to do problems 4 through 10 right now on this. They can bring up the problems, bring up a scratch pad to do the work on, and send the problems electronically to me so that I can, instead of just asking one person, what did you get for the answer to number 4? I can see all 25 students in my class, how they did, see which problems really people had trouble with. We also have another app called Socrative, which is really very similar to how I was saying that you could send in answers to a problem. If we want to just poll the students, get their answers, this helps send them to us, and we can use it for an informal assessment, real easy. And we have another program called Sketchpad, which we can make figures and then manipulate them and see how geometric figures move and relate to each other.
Excellent. Well, at this time, we're going to go to a promotional video of some of the technology being used that Mr. Williams just described. And we'll be right back with a few more questions with Mr. Williams. The Mathematics Department at Chelmsford High School is committed to using technology to enhance the learning experience of students and to differentiate lessons to all learners. They have adopted a class set of iPads using applications and programs in collaboration with the core curriculum. They have begun the implementation of the new Texas Instruments Nspire calculators with the corresponding navigator system. In addition, teachers are using the Universal Design for Learning technology to engage their students, including the use of clickers, interactive Eno boards, and projectors. Also, some math classes have adopted the Study Island program to help support and assess student learning on the new Common Core state standards. Welcome back. In that video, we saw the use of the new Texas Instrument Nspire CX CAS calculators and the supporting navigator system that comes along with it. Daniel, can you share with us some of the benefits of using these new calculators?
Well, these new calculators, the big thing about them is how much more powerful they are. Beforehand, we were using TI-84 pluses, which can do a lot of things. They can graph, you can do your statistics with them. But if you were going into college afterwards to be an engineer, going as a math major, something math heavy, you had to buy a whole new calculator because it really couldn't do what you need to do in those cases. Here, we're learning to use a calculator that does everything that that previous calculator could do, and all these advanced possibilities that you could end up having to use later in your life. And also that navigator system with it opens up possibilities of how us as teachers can interact with the students. We can send information out to every single student's calculator. You could maybe send out a picture with a problem, maybe of a basketball being shot towards a hoop, have the students graph over that picture. Is the ball going to go in or not based off a parabola and how it's working with it? We could also send out questions, have them answer it, get them all back, or we could even bring students' calculator up on the projector screen and have them show how they're solving a problem. So it really just expands all the possibilities that we can use in our classroom.
Excellent. And we're using these new calculators in our freshman classes this year, and we have a process where each year we're going to be moving the calculators up to the next grade level. And so within 4 years, all of our classes at Chelmsford High School will be using these new calculators. Daniel, tell me, what's your favorite thing about being a teacher?
Being a teacher is just exciting. Every day you get to work with these students, really see how they change every single day, and just, you never know what's going to happen every day. Every day's exciting, every day's different, and I just love that aspect of it.
Excellent. Daniel, thank you so much for taking some time to share with us about the technology that's used by you and the other members of the Mathematics Department. We're now going to show a Chelmsford High School Mathematics Department promotional clip, and we're going to return with our Teacher Spotlight segment with Mr. Andrew Pasquale. Welcome back. We are now joined by Mr. Andrew Pasquale for our Teacher Spotlight segment. Mr. Pasquale is in his 40th year in the Mathematics Department at Chelmsford High School and his 42nd year overall within education. He's a Boston College graduate for both his undergraduate work in mathematics and philosophy and his master's work in the art of teaching mathematics. Mr. Pasquale is our AP Calculus teacher and also was a member of the consortium that developed the calculus textbook that we use within our department. Mr. Pasquale, welcome.
Pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much. What made you decide to devote your life to teaching children mathematics?
Well, the short answer to that question is that I grew up thoroughly expecting to be the third generation in my family's construction business. But when I had a conversation between my junior year and senior year in college with my father about joining him, he was, let's say, emphatically discouraging. He said that he went to work every day disliking what he did, and his advice to me was to pick something as a career that I liked. I've always liked mathematics. I always liked school. 2 + 2 = 4. So here I am.
Excellent. So in observing your teaching, I've noticed that you do so much more than just teaching mathematics. Can you tell us why it's important the way you start your class every day?
Sure. I want the experience to be a learning experience, and it doesn't have to be just learning math. It's be learning about life in other ways. So I start the class with like an icebreaker kind of thing. Today's items on the sideboard, for example, were tiramisu, the word intrepid, and a fragment of dialogue from last night's TV show called Elementary. And so that's, every day it's different, and the kids like it.
And so what do you do with those words as you begin your class?
Well, I'll toss them out to the class and see if anybody knows about them, and if they don't, I'll explain why I put them up there.
Excellent. So you teach both the students who love the mathematics as well as those who struggle. How are you able to differentiate your instruction to meet the learning styles of all these different types of students?
Well, you're right. I have very highly motivated and independent and creative thinkers and kids who struggle a little bit with the concepts. But surprisingly, some of the same techniques that work with the bright kids work with every kid. It's like learning how to explain things from different points of view, being patient, encouraging the students to ask questions, and the way you set up the transition algebra class, the numbers are small, so I get a chance to interact more on a one-to-one basis with the kids as opposed to the calculus classes, which are rather large.
Excellent. So now what we're going to do is we're going to learn from Mr. Pasquale's students what makes him really such a special teacher.
The x, 10 to the x, e to the x. You need to use a different rule. And so we'll discover those rules in the second section of chapter 3.
Mr. Pasquale can just get so much out of a single problem. We'll spend 10 to 15 minutes on it, but we'll get so much out of it, so many different concepts, and the whole class leaves it feeling very well understood.
Mr. Pasquale really explains every single problem in different ways, verbally, geometrically, graphically, algebraically, and he makes sure each and every student understands what he's doing before moving on to the next subject.
The factor of x plus 8 times x minus 4.
So what I really like about Mr. Pasquale's class is the holistic learning experience that you get in the fact that he doesn't just teach math, but he also teaches how you can apply it to different subjects. For example, physics, how you can use derivatives, integrals, and apply it later on in life. And the fact that he teaches you how math is applied in topics that you really wouldn't think have math involved in them.
Mr. Pasquale begins every class with 3 different aspects from food, culture, geography, and he has these Friday quizzes in which he draws all sorts of cultural things in together. So you really just get so much more than just math out of this class. You learn about all sorts of different worldly aspects.
So then as we approach -3, you're going to have an x minus 3 in the denominator.
Welcome back. Mr. Pasquale, it's clear from that video that your students and your colleagues hold you in a very high regard. Tell me, what are the attributes that make a good teacher?
Well, a teacher has to know his or her subject. If you don't know your subject, you can't communicate it to anybody. You have to be enthusiastic about your subject. Otherwise, how can you expect enthusiasm from your students? You have to have good communication skills, and above all, you have to care about your students as well.
Excellent. So what is your favorite thing about being a teacher?
Beyond the fact that we have great kids at Chelmsford High School, I like the job, the profession, because it taxes every portion of you as a human being. It taxes your intellect, your affect, and it's physically demanding as well, although many people wouldn't think of teaching as being a physical job. You're on your feet all day long. So you're tired at the end of the day in every possible way that it is to be tired. It's a great job.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing with us your wisdom of teaching. Before we move to our next guest, I want to present to you a mathematics problem and see if you can find the error. Ms. Burns, a Chelmsford High School mathematics teacher, is going to present to you a problem, and it's your job to see if you can figure out the error.
I'm going to show you a proof of 2 equals 1, but we know that's not true. So what your job is to find where we went wrong. We are going to start by letting A equal B. We then are going to multiply both sides of our equation by A. When we do this, we get A squared equals AB. I want to subtract B squared from both sides of my equation to get A squared minus B squared equals AB minus B squared. What you should notice is this side of our equation now leaves us with the difference of 2 squares. We can factor this to become A plus B times A minus B. You should also notice that on the other side of our equation, we have a multiple of B in each term. So we can pull out this factor and be left with B times A minus B. Both sides of our equation have the term A minus B. So we are going to divide to eliminate. This leaves us with A plus B equals B. We stated at the beginning of our problem that A equals B, so we substitute B for A to get B plus B equals B. When we combine like terms, we get 2B equals 1B. We divide by B to eliminate our variable, and we're left with 2 equals 1. Where did we go wrong?
Welcome back. If you can find the error presented by Ms. Burns, please send me an email and we're going to select one winner and award a prize based on all the correct entries. Our next guest is Catherine Dulamis, who's been a member of the Chelmsford High School Mathematics Department since 1999. She has both a Bachelor's of Science in Mathematics and Computer Science from Simmons College, and a master's degree in mathematics from the University of Massachusetts at Lowell. In addition to teaching a variety of mathematics classes, she's also the instructor of our new Java programming course and is here to discuss the programming courses at Chelmsford High School. Welcome, Catherine.
Hello, Matthew.
So tell me, how did you become interested in teaching computer programming?
Well, I have been using the calculator to program with my math classes since arriving at Chelmsford High School, and last year 8 students approached me and asked if I would do an independent study with them for a course in Java programming, and they did this during my course and during my advanced algebra course and during one of my planning times. So it was a lot of independent work on their part, and I thought since there was so much interest then, it would be a great idea to offer this as a course. And fortunately, when I brought it up to you and we addressed it with the greater community, we realized that there truly was an interest. And here we are today with the Java course.
Excellent. So we have 2 different courses. We have the Java programming course and the programming in C. What are the differences between these 2 courses?
Okay, well, the C course is a introductory course for students who have had absolutely no programming experience. And although there are some students in the Java course that have not programmed before, most of the students that are in the Java course have had some programming experience. The other differences between the 2 courses have to do with the differences between the 2 computer programming languages. For example, in the C course, the students create everything that's in their program from scratch. Where in the Java course, there is a Java library and applets that are available to the students as programmers. And in their programs, they are instructed to use some of those.
Excellent. So what are some of these techniques that students use to help them learn how to write these programs?
Okay, well, in addition to having a debugger on the software that we use Eclipse Java and NetBeans Java, both which come with a debugger. But prior to that, both Mrs. Kiernan Bell and I want our students to write flowcharts and pseudocode, mostly pseudocode, which is like writing a blueprint of the program before they actually go to the computer and write the actual code. It helps them make more elegant code and much more effective code.
Wow, this sounds very exciting.
It is.
Let's take a moment and watch a short video seeing both the computer programming course and Catherine's Java course. Welcome back. We're still here with Mrs. Dulamis talking about our computer programming at Chelmsford High School. Catherine, I understand that your class is paperless. Can you explain this to us?
Yes, this is actually very exciting for me because the last time I taught a programming course, I felt like my class used half of the paper budget that the school had. And this time around, we are paperless. We take our tests, obviously, on paper, but the students write their programs and then they create a Dropbox folder, which they share with me. And they save their programs both as a .text file and a .pdf file. When I correct their programs, I download their .text file into my Java software and run the program to make sure that it runs. And then I use my iPad to write notes on their .pdf file and upload that back into their Dropbox folder. And so everything is done electronically, and there are lots of happy trees.
Wow, that's excellent. That's excellent. So tell me, Catherine, what's your favorite thing about being a teacher?
Okay, I love teaching high school because the students at the high school level sometime during those 4 years have an epiphany where they realize that their future is in their hands. And it's wonderful to watch the transformation from child to adult, and it's an honor for me to have had some kind of effect on that phase of their lives. It's very exciting.
Excellent. Thank you so much for being on the show here today, and hopefully next year we have even more students enrolled in both of our programming courses at Chelmsford High School.
It's very exciting. Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you so much for watching our first episode of Math with Matthew. I'd like to thank our guests for appearing here today. I'd also like to thank Mr. McIntyre for creating the theme song for the show, and also to Anne-Marie Fiore for producing all of the videos for the show. We'll be focusing our middle school mathematics show over the winter time, and we'll be having an elementary mathematics show in the springtime. We leave you today with a promotional video for Literacy with Linda, a show coming next month that features all things in the English Language Arts Department, hosted by our ELA Department Coordinator, Dr. Linda Hirsch. Thanks for tuning in.